Many job seekers feel awkward discussing salary. Others don't know what the market pays, and some feel that not agreeing with the first figure mentioned might lead an employer to choose someone else. Does this sound like you? Max List has a free guide that can help. How to talk about money in an interview. Go to maxlist.org/money. You'll learn how to research local salaries before you apply, the best times to discuss money with a hiring manager, and tips for asking about money, benefits, and office culture. Go to maxlist.org/money. The salary you accept shapes your future earnings for years to come. Don't take a lowball offer. Learn how to get the highest figure possible. Get your free copy today of How to Talk About Money in an Interview. Go to maxlist.org/money. This is Find Your Dream Job, the podcast that helps you get hired, have the career you want, and make a difference in life. I'm your host, Mac Pritchard. I'm also the founder of Max List. It's a job board in the Pacific Northwest that helps you find a fulfilling career. Every Wednesday, I talk to a different expert about the tools you need to get the work you want. Salary negotiation starts before you send your first application. To get the pay you want, you need to set clear expectations for yourself. Dorothy Mashburn is here to talk about why you need a salary goal at the start of your job search. She's an interview and a negotiation coach, and Dorothy is passionate about teaching women the skills they need to land great jobs that pay well. She joins us from Phoenix, Arizona. Well, let's get going, Dorothy. Why is it important to set a salary goal before you apply for a job?
Many of us, when we are negotiating for our salary, we think about this as an afterthought almost. Many of the women I coach, it's all about preparation of interviews, how to get in the door, and then towards the end, typically people will throw in, how do I negotiate at the very end my best salary? Well, in my experience, that almost puts you in a poor footing, because now you're working in, you've already talked to your hiring team about all of the different ways you can make their life better, but you have not thought about how you're going to translate that into a compensation conversation. However, if you have that mindset from the very beginning, because your negotiation starts at first contact with the hiring team, whether it's the recruiter or the hiring manager. If you already have a goal in mind, so for example, we say I want $150,000, and I'm going to set a range for myself that 145 to 185 is my sweet spot. If you know that ahead of time, every single conversation that you have with the hiring team, you can seed in some of those ideas ahead of time. But if you wait till the very end when the job offer time comes, then you haven't had the opportunity to ask, to seed those special nuggets. And we can get into what those special nuggets could be later on. But when you have your first conversation, if you have an idea, a goal in mind, then you can set the strategy from that first conversation.
How does having a salary goal, Dorothy, help you with your job search? I mean, you're going to talk about the difference it can make in conversations with the hiring team, but when you're going out and talking to people about what you want, you're looking for positions, should you apply for jobs that don't have a salary range, or should you be very specific? And how will that help you?
So what I usually recommend is you must know at all times what your market value is, and I of course offer different ways you can do that. Very briefly, what I recommend is you triangulate as market value for yourself, and that could be by going into very generic sites like Career Builder, Indeed, Glassdoor. That's one data set. The second data set would be from more specific websites like Levels FYI, Team Blind, H1B data. Those are some options. And then the third, you of course want to check with your peers and your network, possibly even your alumni group, to understand what is it that your market value is. If you don't know that, right? So think about yourself as a brand, as Dorothy Mashburn LLC or Mac LLC. If you are running a business, at most times, if you're the CEO of your business, you must know what the market is valuing you yet. So if you have that value in mind, then you have every conversation based on that. So you're not going to say you're a director level of a market value, maybe $250,000. And of course, this is the very generic example. So if you have 250,000, it's unlikely that you would target the jobs that are, the associates or the leads. And again, very generalized view here. So the value that you place on yourself informs your job search. And then additionally, you're not going to target those companies that are generally have the reputation of not paying very well. So knowing that value upfront really positions you to direct your job search in a way that benefits you.
What happens, Dorothy, if you don't know your market value? How does that affect your job search? What is going to happen to you as you apply for positions or talk to people?
The worst, of course, is you're going to get paid below market value. You would put yourself in a position where you're in 3 to 4 months from the day you start. Once the honeymoon phase is over, so to speak, you'll start questioning, like, why am I working so hard and not getting paid my value? So you've put yourself in a position where you can get more dissatisfied with the job that you land. The other piece is also once you get the job and you start, you have lost the leverage with that company. However, if you had known your market value ahead of time and stood up for or advocated for yourself when you first started, that is the time when you have the most leverage before you start a job with a company. And that is the time to really strongly advocate for yourself and secure that pay that you deserve. But if you undervalue yourself or if you don't know your market value, then I promise you, inevitably, in 6 months, you will find out what others are making, even though many companies don't encourage you to ask about salary. And then you'll have this, very dissatisfied feeling. So it helps you and it helps your future employer to know your market value and then definitely stand up for it.
How does knowing your market value rather, and setting a salary goal and doing a job search affect your lifetime earnings over the course of a career if you don't do this kind of homework?
Yeah. So the math is, anyone can, of course, crunch these numbers. So if you're in your 30s, if you miss out on $5,000, for example, that over the course of the rest of your career can go up to millions of dollars. Because first of all, you're not just missing out on that 5,000, you're missing out on the foundation of your base salary from which the percentage increases happen for the rest of your career there or anywhere else. So that 5,000 is significantly more than people imagine it to be, because it's absolutely, your lifetime earnings can be in the millions if you miss that out, which is why it is so very important to really take the time ahead of the job search to put a number to say, this is what the value is of the skills or the basket of experience that I bring to my employer.
So you've shared how to determine your market value, the homework you need to do that. You're ready to start the search and go out and apply for positions. I want to just loop back for a moment. Dorothy, what do you do if you see a position online or someone shares a job posting with you and there's no salary range at all? Should you try to learn that number or just move on?
If there's a fit, meaning if you believe that you can make a difference in this employer's the problem that they're trying to solve. You'll of course put that, base it on your credentials as well as the experiences you've had. If you believe that there's a fit and there is an opportunity where you can make a difference, absolutely go for it. But definitely know your market value, because even if they haven't published it, you must know your market value and you must strive to secure that. So if they don't have anything published, when you're talking to your recruiter, definitely to the recruiter or whoever, the first person you contact, ask for the budget for the role. Typically now, many states have the salary transparency laws, etc., and so many of us know this. The budgets are. The question about the budget is absolutely a relevant one to ask, and then keep going. If you think that you can make a difference, I promise you, if there's a hiring manager out there who has a gap, who doesn't have a person in the seat, they're feeling the pain of not having that person in the seat. So when you talk to that hiring manager and you show them how you're going to make their life better, the leverage of securing your market value is absolutely in your court. So try to get in front of that decision maker, that hiring manager who is feeling the pain of day in and day out not having somebody solving that problem for them. You are in a great position. So keep going forward.
Terrific. We're going to take a break, Dorothy. When we come back, I want to talk more about how to talk about salary and your market value when you're in interviews and in conversations with a hiring team. So stay with us. When we return, Dorothy Mashburn will continue to share her advice about why you need a salary goal at the start of your job search. Many job seekers feel awkward discussing salary. Others don't know what the market pays, and some feel that not agreeing with the first figure mentioned might lead an employer to choose someone else. Does this sound like you? Max List has a free guide that can help. How to talk about money in an interview. Go to maxlist.org/money. You'll learn how to research local salaries before you apply, the best times to discuss money with a hiring manager, and tips for asking about money, benefits, and office culture. Go to maxlist.org/money. The salary you accept shapes your future earnings for years to come. Don't take a lowball offer. Learn how to get the highest figure possible. Get your free copy today of How to Talk About Money in an Interview. Go to maxlist.org/money.
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
We're back in the Max List studio. I'm talking with Dorothy Mashburn. She's an interview and a negotiation coach, and Dorothy is passionate about teaching women the skills they need to land great jobs that pay well. She joins us from Phoenix, Arizona. Now, Dorothy, before the break, we were talking about why you need a salary goal at the start of your job search, and you talked about the importance of that, the difference it can make in your career earnings, and how to determine your market value and apply that as you begin applying for jobs and talking to people about your goals. Let's talk about when, after you've sent out the applications and you're in conversation with hiring managers and hiring teams, when you're in an interview, for example, Dorothy, how does having a salary goal help you in a job interview?
The analogy that I use, Mac, is about building a house. So if you want to build a house, every single foundation, the brick you lay, the drywall you put up, it all counts towards having this dream house that you want in the end. So this is the same thing about your job. So if you have the first conversation with your hiring team, usually they'll ask, what are your salary expectations? And so if you have a market value in mind, and then you know exactly how to field that question, every single conversation, then you sprinkle in what your value is, what you can bring to the team, and how you can solve their problems. So once you have that first conversation, you are striking that right balance of that executive that you are going to bring to this team. And this is why it is so important, and I emphasize it over and over again, that you must have the conversation about salary top of mind. It's not just about getting the job. It's about commanding the salary that you deserve.
So you know your market value. You have a target salary in mind. What's your best advice, Dorothy, for answering that question that comes from the hiring team or a manager who says, well, what are your salary expectations?
The best advice that I can give you is try to delay answering that question for as long as you possibly can. Now, there's differing options here. Some people say, well, what about the anchoring effect, which means that the person who throws out the largest number wins. But in the case of an interview or an employer-employee relationship, the company usually has the best data about what market values are. So for you as a candidate, when they ask you the question, try to punt it for later on in the conversation. You can say something like, well, let's discuss a little bit more about what the job is and what the responsibilities are and how I can add value. And then certainly I can provide a educated estimate on what I can bring to the table and how I will value my services that I bring to you.
Why is it to your benefit as a candidate to delay that conversation or that answer about a specific number until later in the hiring process?
There are many times it's common practice for job descriptions to be very generic. Whether we like it or not, we can argue either way. But when you start having the conversations with the hiring teams, you learn more about the challenges that the company is having, the market dynamics that they are in. So for you, even if you go in thinking, I think this particular job is worth $180,000, as you learn more, perhaps their goals are very, very lofty in an extremely saturated market. So you will unearth these nuggets throughout the interview process, and then you can tweak your salary expectations based on that. However, if you provide a range in the very beginning, it's not impossible. It becomes a little bit more difficult to retrace your steps and say, well, I need to reevaluate what salary is really going to take for me to come to this job.
You mentioned the importance of learning more about the job before answering that question with a specific number about salary expectations. Why is it important, Dorothy, as well, to learn more about an employer's problems? How is that going to help you get your target salary?
Yeah. The really important thing about all interviews is really not about what you have done, but what you are going to do for this employer. So many times people get in this habit of saying, I have an MBA, I have a PhD, and I've done all of this, but really you haven't told the employer how you're going to bridge the gap that they are feeling right now because they don't have this person in the role. But when you start asking questions, so what are you trying to do? So are you trying to grow your business? Are you trying to cut costs? What is it that is a deficiency today that I can help solve? So when you start asking those questions, you will learn what those pain points are. And then you can say, I have all of these experiences and I can bring that to you. And I can, you want 20% market growth. I know exactly how to do it because I've done it. And then when you position yourself as that problem solver, that hiring manager is going to think, I want this person on my team at all costs. And when that happens, that magic happens, that is when you have the leverage to command the salary that you rightfully deserve. And this is why it's so important to ask for the problems that they're trying to solve.
So know your market value, learn about an employer's problems in the interview conversations, as well as more about the job. when do you actually put a number out there, Dorothy, in order to get the target salary you've set at the start of your job search?
Yeah, absolutely. So once you learn a lot more and you feel ready to pitch yourself, and this typically should happen with your hiring manager. Again, going back to the point of the hiring manager is the one who's feeling the most pain. So when they eventually show an indication, even if they don't outright say that you are the candidate they are honing in on, that is the time to say, here is my salary range. And very quickly, your salary range should be a combination of your desired salary and your dream salary. So if your desired is 180, very, very roughly, you can put another 20% to it and say, 180 times, to 206,000. That is my salary range. So your desired as your bottom of that range and your dream is at the top of that range.
Looking for a job and then especially interviewing and considering an offer, there are a lot of emotions that get invoked when that happens. How does knowing your market value and your target salary help you manage those emotions?
Yeah, the biggest fear that I hear from clients and anyone else I talk to is this worry about your job offer being rescinded. That is one big emotion, if you will. So if you know your market value, and one of the exercises that we do in my coaching program is talking about your want portfolio. Beside your base salary, what else is important to you? So anytime you feel that emotion, the fear, the anxiety, go back to that want portfolio, go back to the market value and say, I am negotiating for this brand, Dorothy LLC or Mac LLC. And if I were doing this for my business, I would absolutely go to bat for my business. And so transfer that concept to yourself when you're advocating for yourself. And that's going to help you get past some of those anxieties and fears that naturally come up, and accept that and lean into that.
Well, it's been a terrific conversation, Dorothy. Now, tell us what's next for you.
I want to continue to empower women in the workplace to fearlessly negotiate for themselves. And that is a journey that I think is going to continue for a while. The gender pay gap is still an issue. So I want to continue to talk about that and make sure that women are standing up for their value and not giving in to the fears and anxieties that naturally come up, maybe because of our upbringing or social conditioning, but continue that leadership journey there.
Terrific. I know listeners can learn more about you and your work by visiting your website, DorothyMashburn.com. And you also invite listeners to connect with you on LinkedIn. And when they do reach out to you, please mention you heard Dorothy on Find Your Dream Job. Now, Dorothy, given all the great advice you've shared today, what's the one thing you want a listener to remember about why you need a salary goal at the start of your job search?
The biggest thing you need to remember is if you give up on even $1,000 today, it's going to magnify in a big way over your lifetime earnings. So keep reminding yourself of that. And when in doubt, always think about yourself as that brand or that LLC that you are advocating for or you are going to bat for. And that's going to pay dividends in the long run.
Next week, our guest will be Heather Joy. She's the founder and owner of Right Path Resumes and Career Coaching. Heather's company specializes in career coaching with a focus on interviews, resumes, and LinkedIn profiles. Every hiring manager you meet will want to know why you're changing jobs. Your response, especially if you were fired or laid off, can make a huge difference in getting an offer. Join us next Wednesday when Heather Joy and I talk about how to explain why you left your last job. Until next time, thanks for letting us help you find your dream job. This show is produced by Max List. Susan Thornton-Hoff schedules our guests and writes our newsletter. Lisa Kislenberry-Anderson manages our social media. Our sound engineer and editor is Matt Fiorillo. Dawn Mole creates our transcripts, and our music is by Freddie Trujillo. This is Mac Pritchard. See you next week. Many job seekers feel awkward discussing salary. Others don't know what the market pays, and some feel that not agreeing with the first figure mentioned might lead an employer to choose someone else. Does this sound like you? Max List has a free guide that can help. How to talk about money in an interview. Go to maxlist.org/money. You'll learn how to research local salaries before you apply, the best times to discuss money with a hiring manager, and tips for asking about money, benefits, and office culture. Go to maxlist.org/money. The salary you accept shapes your future earnings for years to come. Don't take a lowball offer. Learn how to get the highest figure possible. Get your free copy today of How to Talk About Money in an Interview. Go to maxlist.org/money.